Morning. I'd like to call to order the Public Improvement Commission hearing of October 22nd, 2020. The first item are the hearing minutes, the request of the Public Improvement Commission staff, the acceptance of the minutes of the PIC meeting held on October 8th, 2020. Any questions or comments on the minutes? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I'll make a motion to accept the hearing minutes of October 8th, 2020.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Moving on to our utility pole hearing, our first item is on a joint petition by Verizon New England Inc. and Eversource Energy for the pole relocation within Montmorency Avenue, Public Way in East Boston to relocate one existing utility pole to be located on its northerly side at address number 24, generally east of Orient Avenue.
Yes, good morning. My name is Ross Bilodeau, representing Verizon New England. Do I have permission to share my screen?
You do, Ross.
Okay, Verizon is looking to relocate one jointly owned pole approximately 6 feet east along Montmorency Avenue in East Boston. The pole number is 1372/3. The purpose for this relocation is to accommodate a curb cut and new driveway for number 20 Montmorency. I understand that there was a shared driveway out here. This customer is looking to install his own driveway. The existing pole impedes that driveway the way it is now and should be relocated to accommodate a proper curb cut and access to the driveway.
Got it. And Todd or Robbie can certainly sort of speak more to this, but I believe we've received some community feedback from not 24, but 28. But Ross, can you talk to us about the engagement you've done of the residents on 24?
Yes, it's my understanding that number 20, number 24, and number 28 shared a joint driveway between the number 24 and 28 properties, and they had parking area which was set up behind these three properties. Number 20 has made some modifications to his property here, which didn't allow him to have a driveway and parking access behind his home anymore. I do understand that this may be possibly some neighborly squabble out here, which I cannot speak for Verizon, but we were asked by number 20 to relocate this pole. He's paying for this pole to be relocated, but we're just going through the proper avenues to do so.
I totally understand that, Ross. And I realize it seems like the pole, which it's being necessitated to move from the more or less the property line between 20 and 24, sort of more so that it is in property in front of the property at 24. Necessitated by some work at number 20. Did you explore looking at shifting it further? I guess that would be west on the road, so that it is more in front of the property owner who's making the changes to their house.
I know that would constitute more of a significant move. It was probably just looked into at the time for the 6-foot move, just not so far. I don't know if there's any services off this pole which would create any aerial trespassing, stuff like that. I can't speak for the design. I'm just presenting this case here.
So typically, if it's not moving from in front of 20 to a different place in front of 20, we would have something direct from the abutter who is now getting the pole in front of their property. So that the shift within a parcel frontage is fine, but once you're crossing a property line, there needs to be some direct contact with the abutter who's now going to have the pole directly in front of them.
Yeah,
I'm on the line.
Sounds like perhaps the property owner from either number 20 or 24 on the lot. Is that correct?
This is Stephanie Pifaro from 24.
Great. Hi, Stephanie, and you've met with Verizon or Eversource about this proposal?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
You've met with Verizon or Eversource about this proposal?
I have not met with them. They sent me a letter notifying me of the pole moving.
Okay. So one thing which we can do, and Todd, Avi, Amy, correct me if I'm up on this. To Amy's point, we can make sure that there's a sit-down conversation or a Zoom conversation, whatever is best about this proposed relocation to in front of your property, to see whether it's something which you are to answer any questions you have and understand if you're comfortable with it or not.
Yeah, and I had asked, but it was dismissed whether or not it could just be moved in front of 20, just given that the request for the curb cut was at the request of the owner of 20,
Yep.
who's given up parking for the installation of a pool. So, well, you know, the preference would be that it move the other way, if possible.
Ross, is that something that you or your team can take a look at, and then we can revisit this at a subsequent PIC meeting?
Yes, we can certainly look into that.
All right. And part of that would, I think, would be two things. One, seeing if the pole can be moved from, rather than shifting towards 24, shifting it further west in front of 20. And second, just making sure that you have a conversation with the property owner number 24. Stephanie, I believe, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and if we can just capture your contact information, we can just make sure that we're making that introduction if we don't have it already.
Yes, I provided it to Todd.
Perfect. Okay. Other questions or comments by members of the PIC? Okay. Todd or Robbie?
We're all set with this. We'll coordinate with Verizon and all of the abutters to ensure that we get to a solution that works.
Okay. Any other members of the public?
I see none, no.
Okay. And as a reminder, folks do have an interest in testifying, you can either speak up as was done, or you can put your name in the chat and we can coordinate it that way. So, Ross, if it works for you, we could entertain a motion just to continue this item until the next PIC meeting to sort of do that both analysis and outreach in the interim. And I think the next PIC meeting is 2 weeks from now.
Okay, very good.
Okay. Before I take a motion on this, I think, and we do have one member of the PIC who, Joe, I don't know if there's anything that you want to speak to related to this.
I was planning to abstain if there was a vote today. I support the discussion and the recommendation to continue this for 2 weeks.
Got it. Very good. Thanks so much. All right. I will then entertain a motion to continue this item for 2 weeks.
I'll make a motion to continue the pole relocation on Montmorency Avenue as read into the record by the chair to 2 weeks.
November 5th.
Second.
I believe November 5th. Is that right?
Yes.
To November 5th.
Second? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. So moved. Ross, we'll see you on November 5th.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to the public hearing continued portion. Our first item is on a petition by Boston Trainee Academy for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in Hyde Park, consisting of curb, roadway, sidewalk, and pedestrian ramp reconstruction, as well as new and relocated wayfinding signage and driveway curb cuts. The locations are Hale Street at address number 17, generally between Gordon Avenue and Emmett Street. Gordon Avenue on its northeasterly side between Hale Street and Child Street. Child Street on its northwesterly side, northeast of Gordon Avenue. Rayburn Road on its northwesterly side, southwest of Chestnut Street. This was new business on September 24th, 2020, at its first public hearing on October 8th, 2020. And this is shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repairs Plan, Gordon Avenue, Child Street, Rayburn Road, Hale Street, Hyde Park, 4 sheets, dated September 18th, 2020.
Hi, good morning, Chief and members of the Commission. My name is Christian Strom. I'm with Jones Architecture out of Salem, Mass. I'm here representing Boston Trinity Academy. With me, I have Frank Guerra, the headmaster of Boston Trinity Academy, and Brian Wheeler, civil engineer from BVH Integrated Services. May I present my screen, please?
Please, absolutely go for it, Christian.
Can you see this?
We can.
Okay, so I'd like to just start with some of the outstanding items from our last meeting. One would be street lighting or approval from the street lighting division, which I received by email the other day.
Great.
So I'm glad to have that. The one comment I received there was that there are these 2 utility poles along Beaver Street with street lights mounted to them, and these would become the responsibility of Boston Trinity Academy rather than that of the city from now on. At least that's how I understood the email.
Okay. Is that acceptable to Boston Trinity Academy?
Yes, and they might already be under the aegis of Boston Trinity Academy, but we'll figure that out. Either way, it's totally acceptable.
Great.
The next item I have is I do have a letter of support from the Office of Neighborhood Services, so we have memorialized this.
Great.
And this was submitted by email to the PIC on September 25th, I believe, from Joe Coppinger.
Yep.
But I'll submit another copy when I update my documents. The next item is we have a small revision to the plan, which includes an annotation requested by Denise Devlin 2 weeks ago, separately from our hearing, but we have added this to the plan, so you'll see that on the updated plan. And this just refers to adjusting the grade around the manhole on Child Street.
Great. Denise, any comments on that?
We have Carrie today.
Carrie, I'm sorry, Carrie.
All right, Denise told me she would not actually be here.
Go ahead, Christian.
Okay, so then the next item is the curb ramp on Hale Street, which I'm showing here, where this is facing south on Hale Street. The existing accessible parking spot, which is really just at the side of the road with this, it's not even paved, it's just kind of dirt. But that is the existing ADA parking spot that we don't know really the provenance of. We then have the existing curb ramp across the street with a utility pole impinging on the clearance there. So what we had previously proposed was building a new ramp in this location, but it was across from these steps, so we abandoned this option per your comments at our first hearing in September.
Just joined.
And then what we are proposing instead, after discussion with Sarah at the Disabilities Commission, is that we would fill in the existing non-conforming curb ramp and create a new curb ramp adjacent to it. So we would not have the crosswalk, and we would also not provide detectable warning strip because the ramp is not reciprocated, but it is just an access point near the ADA parking spot and gets you up on the curb and can be used for pickup and drop off in this location as well as just providing the easiest access to the new gymnasium, which is over here. You come along the sidewalk here, down here, and over to the gymnasium. So this is the updated plan, just showing this in detail. And the actual detail, which is taken from the public's work detail, except without the detectable warning strip. So that kind of covers the curb ramp. I don't know if you have any comments on that.
I don't know if Sarah or any other members of the team do.
No, I just wanted to thank Christian and his team for his hard work on resolving this issue. We're still working on our side to determine the origin of those accessible parking spaces, but we felt like in the short term that this would be the best option.
Thanks, Sarah.
Okay, thank you. And then I have one last item that we have not discussed previously, but because Chung has requested this be included in our LMI, I just wanted to bring it up here, and that is, well, I think some members of the commission are aware of it because it's sort of loosely on their radar. We are adding school warning signs to 2 utility poles on Gordon Ave. The intent, of course, is to just improve safety near the school, but also to try to help slow down traffic a little bit around here. And this is something the neighbors really welcomed. So we're adding school warning signs on Gordon Ave and also Child Street. But because we're attaching to existing utility poles, I've had a bit of a back and forth with both the city and Eversource as to how we should do this. We've come to the agreement that Boston Trinity Academy and Eversource are going to have some kind of agreement around these poles. And as I mentioned, this is just going to be included in the LMI. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. And that pretty much concludes my presentation for today.
Christian, thank you for the very sort of very clear and very detailed sort of follow-up on all the comments that have come in over the last 2 hearings. Really appreciate that. Other questions or comments from members of the commission?
Yes. First of all, I'm sorry I didn't get my name up there. I'm Kerry McGuire. I'm representing Boston Water and Sewer Commission. Denise Devlin's usually in the spot. We had made sure that beforehand to discuss the water and sewer that runs in the what was at one time Beaver Street, that runs there, the existing building and going up into Brayburn. That they are aware that those are still active easements for us, and that I was told that they are going to honor that easement, which they have to, but I just be sure that they were acknowledging that we still had our water and sewer main had to run through there. We do have the easement.
Yes, and so that's actually part of a separate petition that we more or less concluded 2 weeks ago, and that was the street abandonment petition, and this is our specific repairs petition. But we have submitted our updated street abandonment plans to Todd and the PIC a few days ago, and I also received a couple comments back. But that has been included in that plan, and we'll make sure that you see it before final approval, Gary.
That's great. And then I acknowledge that, yeah, you had taken care of adjusting the drain manhole on Child Street. I saw that earlier. I didn't get a chance to comment, but that's fine.
Okay.
Just to
A
confirm.
clarifying comment by me on that same item which Mr. McGuire brought up. In the legal language, when you write the words that you are granting or continuing the easement, you need to add the words through perpetuity. Okay?
Okay.
So please add those words. The lawyers will tell you what are the right words. Basically, it cannot be extinguished unless at the written explicit instructions by the Boston Water and Sewer Commission. So they're the only entity that can change it. Okay?
Okay.
Please, those words. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Very good.
Thanks, Barrow. Thanks, Gary. Other questions or comments? Todd or Abby?
Just to clarify, the abandonment of Beaver Street was approved 2 weeks ago with the provision that the water and sewer easement be retained, and that language is going to be in the PISU order once that gets drafted. So we'll make sure that the water and sewer rights are protected.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Todd and Christian. Any members of the public?
I see none.
Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Boston Trinity Academy for the making of specific repairs within Hale Street, Gordon Ave, Child Street, and Brayburn Road as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, so moved. Christian, thank you so much.
Thank you.
To the chair. Sorry, to the chair, Brian Ron. Chief, I have to step up for a moment.
Absolutely, Brian. Let us know when you're back.
All right, thank you.
Yep, thank you. Our next item is on a set of joint petitions by BRG 55 India LLC and the Boston Planning and Development Agency for the vertical discontinuances of portions of the following public ways in Boston proper, vertically above the grades of the sidewalks. The locations are India Street on its southwesterly side, address number 55 between Franklin Street and FITZGERALD Surface Road, Wells Street on its northeasterly side, southeast of Franklin Street on its southeasterly side between India Street and Wells Street. This was new business on September 3rd, 2020, had its first public hearing on September 24th, 2020. And this is shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Discontinuance Plan, Vertical, India Street, Wells Street, Franklin Street, Boston proper, 3 sheets, dated February 24th, 2020.
Good morning, Commission. My name is Deborah Danek. I'm here with Niche Engineering. I'm a project manager and engineer there, and I'm representing the owner of the development, Curtis Kameni, and also his representatives, Josh Sidney and Christopher Clements from his legal team. We also have members from the design team here as well to talk about the project. May I please share my screen?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Oh, goodness. Thank you for bearing with me. There we go. So I'm hoping that you can see an image of the proposed building.
Not yet, or at least not for me.
Okay. I will try one more time. Sorry about that.
That's fine.
Deb, you may want to select share a specific window or tab as opposed to sharing your whole screen.
Great, thank you. Let me try one more time. I'm probably sharing you right now. Okay. I'm really sorry about this, team.
Oh, totally fine.
I will try and talk while doing this. Thank you very much for the continuance a couple weeks ago. We needed that in order to sort some of the legal issues surrounding these discontinuances. And since we last met, we have been through the BPDA review process, and they have accepted the takings associated with our requested discontinuances.
Perfect. And we are now seeing sort of a corner of the
Bits of a screen? Okay.
Yeah, you got it. Now we have the
Did
building.
that help? Great.
Yep.
Thank you for your patience on that one. So this is an image of the proposed building. The building is located at 55 India Street, which is actually bounded by the surface road, which is where we're standing and looking at the building. And then as you travel left on this page, you're going down the surface road, and right, you'd be going up India Street. So behind this building, it's also bounded by Wells Street and Franklin Street, which are both existing one-way streets. This image is a really good one because it gives you a visual representation of the discontinuances we're requesting. You can see over here on this side of the building, there are some projections for balconies for the building, and I'll take a quick step back. This proposed building is 12 stories residential, and then on the first floor, there'll be some retail space. There's a proposed basement associated with this building, but it's just for building uses. There's no proposed parking as part of this project. The fun shape of this building, you'll notice that it kind of diagonals. The actual property line is more square to India Street and Surface Road, but the building itself diagonals because running through the private site is a series of utilities, including electrical, telecommunications, and some Boston Water and Sewer Commission water lines and combined sewer main. As a separate part of this process, we've already worked through easements to be established with the BWSC for their utilities running through here and kind of what we can do around them in order to build this building and to have it constructed. So that's why there's this one column that kind of comes down and straddles. If you can imagine below grade, there's the existing tunnel for the highway, and then we have kind of utilities running through here. So we'll see a little discussion about how we get this footing constructed, which relates to one of our underground discontinuances. So currently, we're talking about the above grade discontinuances, which I mentioned earlier. There are some balconies. There are also some building overhangs, like this little corner here, and as we wrap around the building, there are some overhangs over entrances. So the detailed PIC plans that we have in front of you and are requesting to get discontinuance for show both the areas in plan view and then the volumes vertically. So over on India Street, we have here those balconies I mentioned, and then a little bit corner of the building, the property line actually curves at this location. So our squared corner of the building overhangs a bit, so we're requesting a discontinuance for that area. As we talk about these above grade discontinuances, they're all at Boston City base elevation 31, which is at least 15.4 feet clear from the adjacent sidewalk elevations. So as we work, and please feel free to interrupt me if you have questions. As we work our way from India Street, so when we were looking at that perspective, we were standing up here at the page looking towards the building. We can go around. Over Wells Street, we're requesting a building overhang that projects outside of the building to cover the front door and run across the face of the building, as well as some above grade area for when we get to the higher floor elevations of the building, the second floor and above, there's actual living space that projects out over the property line. And then working around Franklin Street, we have the same condition, a lower level building overhang over the entrance and kind of continuing along the face, and some of that above grade living space, second floor and above, that has building projection. So if anyone has any questions or need more details associated with these, please let me know.
Any questions or comments by members of the commission on the vertical discontinuance?
Todd, PJ, who has the fee ownership on these, on the streets? Does the city have it, and did BPDA do the taking?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
Hi, Lisa Harrington from the BPDA. The BPDA has completed the takings of these parcels, yes.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Not from the aspect of this commission, but I was surprised to hear that you have a basement based on the tunnels that exist basically surrounding this. So I don't know that we care about that, but I think that we will want to see that there's been positive resolution with MassDOT about where all that stuff will slot in.
Yep. And as we get through some of the other requests, I can more detailed speak to the basement. The basement actually is a small little corner on this side of the building that is stepped further back from where you see the above grade in the building face because of those tunnels and the utility corridor that runs through here.
Yes, on the utility corridor, she mentioned there's combined sewer. Combined sewer actually runs underneath the building itself. It's not in the area she's talking about. The water runs out where it's going, where the overhang has been at least high enough that we can get the vertical clearance to work. The pipe that goes through the building, we cleared that though. We still have our right to be where we are. And that if we ever had to do anything, it's going to be something that we try to do it from inside. I hope we don't have to tunnel. But that's something they've already have addressed with us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carrie and Amy. Other questions or comments on the vertical discontinuance?
I've got a question. If there were a catastrophe on one of the upper floors, has there been any conversation with the fire department to be able to get a ladder truck with a lift behind the building to get up to the upper floors with these vertical discontinuances?
I don't know that specifically. I know that there's been a lot of discussion about access out this location is also within the floodplain, so there's been a lot of discussion about access out of the building at higher than the first floor elevation. I'm not sure that we specifically talked to the fire department about the projections a couple feet over the property line and how that may impact the ladders.
Is that, could you have a conversation with, could your team have a conversation with the fire department just for peace of mind that there's, they do not identify any conflicts?
Absolutely, yep, we can follow up with them. This project also has not gone for a building permit yet, but so we're still in the process of finalizing the construction documents so that we can absolutely check with them on that.
Thanks, John and Deborah. Other questions or comments? Todd or Robbie?
I think we're all set on this one.
Members of the public?
I see none.
I will entertain a motion on this item.
I'll make a motion to approve a set of joint petitions by BRG 55 India LLC and the Boston Planning and Development Agency for vertical discontinuances within India Street, Wells Street, and Franklin Street, as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Moving on to our third item on a petition by BRG 55 India LLC, the Massachusetts Department of Transportation, and the Boston Planning and Development Agency for the vertical discontinuance of a portion of John F. FITZGERALD Surface Road, a public way in Boston proper, located at the side 55 India Street on its westerly side, generally south of India Street, vertically below the grade of the sidewalk. This was new business on September 3rd, 2020, had its first public hearing on September 24th, 2020. This is shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Subsurface Discontinuance Plan, Vertical Surface Road, Boston proper, one sheet date February 24th, 2020.
Thank you. My name's Deborah Danick. I'm here with Niche Engineering representing the owner. I'm also here as well are representatives from the ownership team, their legal team, the design team, and also the BPDA. Since we last met with you, this discontinuance has gone in front of the BPDA and has gone through the taking process. This particular underground discontinuance is a request due to the proposed building at 55 India Street. In order to straddle some of the utilities we discussed on the last request, there's one column with the building that actually has to go a little bit outside of the property line in order to hold it up, and this is the visual and the location of it. That's along the surface artery. The detailed technical drawing of this is shown here where we're requesting. You can see on here basically the full proposed footing that we're going to need below grade in order to construct this column, and then just the portions of that that go outside of the property line, both in plan view and vertically, to kind of define that volume of area. And that will be within the surface road right of way.
Great, thanks, Deborah. Questions or comments on this?
Yes. One of them is that part of the reason why this had to be done this way was to make sure that it could get by where our utilities ran, our water mains, that the spacing of the water mains are shown on site plan work that they had submitted, and that it does give us adequate distance away to be able to protect the water.
Great, thanks for that context, Terry. Other questions or comments? Todd or Robbie?
It's worth noting that FITZGERALD Surface Road is currently under MassDOT's control right here, and it's going to be turned back over to the city at some point in the future, but we're kind of doing this, taking this action preemptively so that we know exactly where the property lines are going to fall once we do accept it back.
And MassDOT's a co-petitioner.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. All right, and any member of the public? Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I make a motion to approve a joint petition by BRG 55 India LLC, the Mass Department of Transportation, and the Boston Planning and Development Agency for the vertical discontinuance of a portion of John F. Fitzgerald Surface Road, as more particularly read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Moving on to our fourth item, on a set of petitions by BRG 55 India LLC for the acceptance of pedestrian easements adjacent to the following public ways in Boston proper. Locations are Well Street on its northeasterly side at the rear of 55 India Street, southeast of Franklin Street. Franklin Street on its southeasterly side between India Street and Well Street. This was new business on September 3rd, 2020, had its first public hearing on September 24th, 2020. And this is shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Pedestrian Easement Plan, Franklin Street, Well Street, Boston proper, 2 sheets dated May 15th, 2020.
Thank you. My name is Deborah Danick. I'm here with Niche Engineering. There's also representatives from the ownership team here, their legal team, and the design team to help answer any questions. We're requesting pedestrian easements along Well Street and Franklin Street in order to provide a little bit wider sidewalk in these areas. Well Street, the existing road, and Franklin Street are both existing one-way streets, with Well Street traveling west and Franklin Street traveling north. The existing sidewalks are a little less than 5 feet clear. And that's without the curb. We're proposing basically when we reconstruct the sidewalks, which we're requesting through specific repairs at a later request, we're proposing that basically the sliver of land left between the property line and the building face, that we provide a pedestrian easement through those areas such that when pedestrians are walking, it will feel like they're walking on the public sidewalk, but they'll actually be on the private site. So that's why we're proposing to provide the easement. This will also help us better facilitate providing at least a minimum of a 5-foot wide cement concrete sidewalk through here. The other request that we have on Well Street, and you'll see when we go through the specific repairs, is that the building and the entrance bumps in on Well Street. As we talk through the proposed improvements on Well Street, we're going to be tabling the street to provide cars to be able to bump in. So we also want to provide a clear 5-foot path for pedestrians if there's no car there to continue straight through the sidewalk, but then also through the private site, through the pedestrian easement, to also have that clear walkway to go through. So you see the two requests, one on Well Street and then the other one on Franklin Street, where those areas follow the face of the building to the property line.
Great. Thanks so much, Deb. Questions or comments on the two pedestrian easements? Todd or Robbie?
All set?
Members of the public?
None.
All right, I'll entertain a motion on the set.
I'll make a motion to approve a set of petitions by BRG 55 India LLC for the acceptance of pedestrian easements in Well Street and Franklin Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Moving on to our fifth item, on a set of petitions by BRG 55 India LLC for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in Boston proper, consisting of curb, roadway, and sidewalk reconstruction, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps, specialty pavements, street trees, planters, landscaping, bike racks, bollards, groundwater recharge infrastructure, driveway curb cuts, and a decorative bronze inlay. The locations are India Street on its southwesterly side at address number 55 between Franklin Street and Fitzgerald Surface Road. Well Street southeast of Franklin Street on its southeasterly side between India Street and Well Street, and the John F. Fitzgerald Surface Road on its westerly side south of India Street. This was new business on September 3rd, 2020, had its first public hearing on September 24th, 2020. And this is shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repairs Plan, 55 India Street, Financial District, 6 sheets dated March 2020.
Thank you. My name is Deborah Danick. I'm with Niche Engineering. I'm also joined here by the owner of the property and his representatives, as well as representatives from the design team. We are requesting specific repairs to the sidewalks adjacent to our proposed development of 55 India Street. This is where we get into the fun requests, where we'll actually be able to see a lot of this stuff at the end of the day. But basically, we're proposing to improve the existing sidewalks around the site, which includes Surface Road, Well Street, Franklin Street, and India Street. This first plan is a little bit of the fun side of the building, and then it's the surface road portion of the building that runs adjacent to the greenway. So this is the side of the building where we have more sidewalk width. We're proposing to install a minimum of a 5-foot clear pedestrian pathway that travels parallel to the surface road. Between that and the curb, we're proposing pervious pavers. There'll also be improvements to the existing accessible ramps. We're also proposing to install some bicycle racks. This area too, in this particular area of our site, this is the location approximately of the building. And then we have an adjacent building over here at 110 Broad Street. There's kind of a pretty big open existing concrete area here. So we're proposing to install some landscape planters in order to bring a little more vibrancy to this area. The other thing too is that India Street, 55 India Street, this used to be the continuation of the wharf. So if you continue from our site towards the water, there's historical wharf here. So we're proposing, we're working with the BPDA and the accessibilities department to basically put some signage in order to define what that wharf used to be. And those are some granite pavers that are proposed perpendicular to the concrete path of travel. As we work our way around the building, over here on Wall Street, so Surface Road is over this way. This is kind of this bigger plaza area. We're working with BTD to talk about the tabling of Wall Street. I previously mentioned that the main entrance to the building is right here. Existing Wall Street is actually only a 25-foot wide, right-of-way, and it's a one-way street that goes westerly. So right now, the clear pavement is about a little over 15 feet wide through here. So the hope is that this is the main entrance to our building that has no parking for residents, that there be a little drop-off, pull-off area so that cars can get out of the way, so that if other cars are coming, they can pass through and continue out of the area and not block it up. With that, we've talked a lot about providing basically a flush condition through here and trying to make this area more welcoming to pedestrians, given the low vehicular traffic that goes through here, and also to try and connect it to this plaza area. So we're working through tabling this road, having through here flush curbs and some bollards to delineate as we work our way around the curb where cars should be, but as well as to give pedestrians the feel of safety through this area where it would be flush for them to go through. The proposed treatments of the sidewalk through here would be cement concrete for all of it, and then granite curb with the bollard. So the bollards going along the curb and then further back towards the building as we go to this drop-off bump-in area. The other thing too, we talked about specifically about these crosswalks here to provide them at grade, an at grade crossing. So we've done that through here. We also talked about providing a crossing through here. We are still working through the location of where this tabling will happen just due to existing drainage in this area. As we move over to Franklin Street, so we've rotated 90 degrees again. So Surface Road is this way. Wall Street, we just talked about, is to the left. The existing sidewalk right now, actually, and I forgot to mention this, the existing site is a parking lot. So this existing sidewalk on Franklin Street is basically two large driveway openings so cars can get in and park. So we're proposing to close that off, provide cement concrete sidewalk and new granite curb with a 6-inch reveal, as well as upgrade the accessible ramp at the corner here. This site and this area was part of the surface road improvements and the reconstruction of the accessible ramps all along the surface road, which actually continued across India Street into this corner. So the existing ramp on this western corner of India Street is compliant. So we're gonna leave that as it is, and we're proposing to redo the ramps around our site, just knowing that during construction they will get, they will probably most likely be damaged as just construction operations happen. And then when we get over to India Street is one-way entering and then widens to provide parking. This also is one of the areas where we have some more sidewalk width. So along India Street, where we have about 9-foot wide sidewalk. We're proposing a 5-foot clear pedestrian walkway of cement concrete. And then between that and the curb, we're going to put in some porous pavers in order to provide, a visual strip as well as get some stormwater management and infiltration. And as previously mentioned, we'll be reconstructing the accessible ramps at both of these corners. So if there are any specific questions to our specific repairs, please let me know.
I appreciate all the work on this. Quick question you might have already covered. How sort of consistent in the design details are things like the porous pavers with other sort of principal corners along the greenway?
Yeah, so one of the fun parts about this project is the same design team, and I'm sorry to be flipping through Surface Road, the same design team that worked on this 110 Broad Street project that did the sidewalk through here that's already been constructed is working on this project as well. So we're keeping the continuity at the face of curb the same as what's already out there. It will feel and look a little different towards the site because we're proposing more pavers within our site than they did at the other site.
And how similar is that block, or will those pair of buildings be to sort of what's essentially getting redone right now by MassDOT along the Greenway corridor?
It should be consistent with that. The improvements to the we have looked at those plans and taken them into consideration for the improvements that are happening along.
Thanks so much. Other questions or comments?
The tabling was really about the connection to the Greenway and kind of expanding that plaza and pulling it back into the, neighborhood or the city street, so it doesn't feel Greenway and then everything else. And thank you to Deb for bearing with us. We made the table thing, I think is new. And Carrie can attest, I've taken a run at him and Denise to talk, tabling in general as a part of this. And so they've been pretty patient with us.
Yeah, thank you for help coordinating. And I think too, just, these actual surface improvements and construction is a couple years off. So that will happen at the end of the construction of this building. So we have some time to make this right in the way that your team wants it.
Okay. I was just checking to see, we would still want to go through all these improvements that have to do with the groundwater recharge system. That's part of the site plan review process. And we had comments back from July 21st. And we're still pending on getting all the answers on that as far as I could find out.
That is correct, yep. And I'm sorry I skipped over that part. We do have proposed injection wells within the Franklin Street sidewalk. And yes, we have received the comments from your site plan review team, Carrie, and we have them in-house and are reviewing. And we owe you a response.
Okay.
Is the state okay with how close we're injecting to the tunnels? In some instances, they've asked not to recharge in and around the tunnels.
I don't think that we've gotten far enough with them for that specific question, but we will ask. So these wells are located as far as possible from the tunnels right now. The tunnel is down.
When they did the work for the tunnels, of course, they had set up originally, equalization or equal, I can't even say the word, the equivalent, that they do check to see what the water level is on each side. So equilibrium.
What you're going to use to evaluate their proposals.
Yeah, the equilibrium manholes. We have worked with MassDOT on those specific structures on different parcels along the Greenway. There aren't any of those located right near ours here. But yes, we can talk to their team about that and how this project may impact that system.
Okay.
Thanks, Deb. Thanks, Amy and Carrie. Other questions or comments?
Deborah, PJ here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Deborah, there's significant improvements that are being shown on these plan sheets. Do you have any isometric photographs, renderings, or anything that further amplify the urban treatments that you are proposing here, or do you have such pictures?
I don't, unfortunately. I'm sure.
So just a point of reference for future projects of this magnitude, it would be useful to show that stuff, because we need to understand the continuity, especially on the Rose Kennedy Greenway. Okay, so
Absolutely. Yep. Thank you.
we look for our consultants to provide the commission a uniform set of guidance. Second question, the street that you are going to table, can you amplify your comments a little bit more? Is it the whole street? Is it just a segment? Is it to function more of a pedestrian zone for the main entrance to the building? Unable to clarify any of this stuff in the absence of those isometric pictures. So can you add some statements to that, please?
Before she goes, I will just say that the limits right now might not be defined, but that's on our end, not Deb's end. So we are talking about the specific limits of this. Ultimately, this is kind of an ongoing discussion. But yeah, no, like the notion is to kind of pull there's a pedestrian plaza out on the surface artery there that we're trying to kind of connect into and make it kind of cohesive. Like this is a pretty sleepy corner, but it could be a nice plaza and amenity for the building. So we're working through the details a little bit to do with grading, drainage, all that fun stuff. I'll let Deb take it from there, but some of the lack of limit definitions is me.
Okay, so in that, before Ms. Demick responds, but to carry Ms. Collins' thought pattern, at the end of the day, the whole street, your limits of maintenance will require the whole street, because it will be difficult for me to go rebuild that street if it is stable.
Well, so to that end, I think that the conversation that we started here is one about kind of general tabling, inclusive of Zach and Carrie and Denise at Boston Water and Sewer, because we've used this to begin a conversation about what kind of city standards would be in a curbless environment. But I think that anytime that they're using a material that is non-standard, that would be in their LMI, but we're trying to get to a place that if it's cement, concrete, and asphalt, that's not just the lack of verticalness, doesn't push something out, force something else. So we're in it. This project has begun that conversation from both the city standard capacity and maintenance capacity.
Awesome. On the Rose Kennedy Greenway side, I don't recall whether that whole sidewalk to the left and the right side of this property, or if a block to the left or right, whether they are all brick sidewalks. But I recall you saying that you are going to propose a 5 feet concrete path of travel. Is that consistent? Again, the taxpayers of the United States, we spend about $16 billion fixing up that road. We just want to make sure this project's urban design component is consistent for that area. Again,
back to wharf bricks.
Sorry, Amy?
So out on the Greenway, there's pavement changes that signify where the old wharf was. And they are pulling that, they're holding those limits. And I think that we'll actually see less pavement changes and different materials when this project leaves, because we have the wharf stuff that came through, we have old brick, we have asphalt, we have cement, concrete, and I think that we'll end up seeing less stuff up there at the end of this project, but they are respecting the wharf limits and the wharf paving that is a part of the central artery.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you both.
Thanks, Maura and Amy. Any other questions or comments? Todd or Robbie?
We're all set on this.
All right, members of the public?
None.
All right, I'll entertain a motion on the specific repair plan.
I'll make a motion to approve a set of petitions by BRG 55 India LLC for the making of specific repairs within India Street, Wells Street, Franklin Street, and John F. Fitzgerald Surface Road as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
Thanks, Joe.
I was on mute, I apologize.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. So moved. Thank you so much. Moving on to our sixth item, on a set of petitions by BRG 55 India LLC for the granting of an earth retention license for the installation of a temporary earth support system within the following public ways in Boston. The locations are India Street on its southwesterly side at address number 55, southeast of Franklin Street, Wells Street on its northeasterly side, southeast of Franklin Street and Franklin Street on its southeasterly side between India Street and Wall Street. This was new business on September 3rd, 2020, had its first public hearing on September 24th, 2020. And this is shown in a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Conceptual Temporary Earth Excavation Support Plan, 55 India Street, Boston, 3 sheets dated April 2020.
Thank you, Commission. My name is Deborah Danick. I'm here with Niche Engineering, and I'm representing the owner of this development. With us here as well is the owner of the property, his representatives from the legal team, as well as we have members of the design team here. We're requesting temporary earth support license for the proposed project at 55 India Street. The project consists of a 12-story residential building. Included in that, we have a partial basement. You can see the extents of the proposed basement, the proposed basically triangular basement located at the corner of Franklin and Wall Street. And this basement location has been set and kind of offset to the corner and not taking up the whole full property due to existing below grade utilities and infrastructure. So we abut the surface artery, which below grade has the highway tunnel, the MassDOT tunnel, and then between that slurry tunnel wall and our property and within our property, we have kind of a spaghetti of utilities running parallel to surface artery and down through Wall Street, which include both BWSC infrastructure, combined sewer, as well as water mains. You can see here a little better, and I'm sorry it didn't show up on the previous images, the location of the combined sewer, and then the water mains are located further out. The building itself cantilevers, so we have the basement below, and then it cantilevers the second floor, then goes over to and capture most of the property, as we've discussed previously. So currently we're requesting the temporary earth support of soldier piles and lagging along Wall Street, Franklin Street, and a little bit of India Street outside of our private site so that we can construct this partial basement for the proposed building.
This will need to be permitted and reviewed with District 6.
Okay, yep.
Amy, is there any sequencing on approval that we would want to do?
It's just that they need to come together. So I think that like after you clear this, I'd go back to District 6 and then pull permits, because if you come and try to pull permits for this through us, we're going to send you to District 6.
Thank you. We'll do that.
Other questions or comments on the earth retention license? Tyler, Robbie?
All set?
Members of the public?
None.
All right, I'll entertain a motion on the earth retention license.
I'll make a motion to approve a set of petitions by BRG 55 India LLC for the granting of an earth retention license within India Street, Wall Street, and Franklin Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Thank you so much, Deb. I think we're going to see you again in 10 seconds.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you.
Moving on to the public hearing portion on a joint petition by Untitled Heights, Phase 3 Limited Partnership, and the Boston Housing Authority for the acceptance of 2 pedestrian easements adjacent to Faywood Avenue, a public way in East Boston, located on its northerly side, generally east and west of Ballard Road. This was new business on October 8th, 2020, and this is shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Pedestrian Easement Plan, Faywood Avenue, Orient Heights, East Boston, 1 sheet dated March 4th, 2020.
Good morning, Commissioners, and good morning to the public. My name is Sienna DeSantis, representing Trinity, the developer on this project, working with the Boston Housing Authority. I'm joined by Allison Burton, representing BHA, as well as Deborah Danick and Faisal Husseini from Niche, our engineers. We have David Lenhart, our counsel, as well as our design team, Kendra Halliwell, representing Icon Architecture. We're here to present plans associated with the Phase 3 project, which is a replacement public housing project in East Boston, including 123 units, as well as open space improvements and the plans that Deb will be presenting to you for the public right-of-way. Turning it over to you, Deb.
Thanks, Deb.
Thank you, Sienna. I'm going to work to present again, and hopefully it will go quicker and easier this time for me. So I'm hoping you can see an aerial photo.
Yep, that just came up.
Great. So as Sienna mentioned, we are now in the third phase of our Orient Heights redevelopment project with the Boston Housing Authority. Just to give you an idea, we're over in East Boston. We're kind of on the north lower side of the Orient Heights Hill. The fun part is that, you know, we've been talking with the commission about this project for the first and second phases for a couple of years now. We're now in the third phase. Google Earth has some good aerial photography to just show the improvements and where we've gotten to from and to. So if you have a chance to go out there, I'd suggest that the neighborhood is really looking more vibrant and improved. So right here, you can see in this aerial, this is the phase 1 project. Prior to the work, which included, and the reason I'm showing this is phase 3 is we've kind of been rinsing and repeating as we've gone up the hill from phase 1, phase 2 to phase 3. So phase 1 is a combination of townhouse buildings and a mid-rise, and then some other townhouse buildings. Previously along Waldemar Avenue, the phase 1, there was a series of these Z-shaped existing buildings. You can see here, this photo was taken while we were working on phase 2, which included the redevelopment of basketball court at Waldemar Avenue. As you step up the hill, and something I forgot to mention, there's significant elevation changes between Waldemar Ave to Valor Road, which is the City of Boston Public Way, and then to Faywood Avenue. Each of these elevation changes is anywhere from, 40 to 60 to 80 feet as we work our way up each of these steps. So in phase 2, we did the construction of new townhome buildings and a mid-rise and half of the Valor Road roadway. Previously, as part of our phase 2 PIC approvals, which is a little different from the construction, we got full approval for the improvements to Valor Road, which included updating the road, widening it to meet complete street guidelines to allow parking, driving, complete street sidewalks that include street trees and pits, and 5-foot wide clear walkways, as well as kind of the realignment of Valor Road to tee it off better to hit Faywood Avenue. As you can see here, it's kind of wide. So I actually have representative photos of what the phase 2 roadway looks like, and this is a really good visual to give you an idea of what we're proposing. So here on phase 3, we're proposing the improvements along Faywood Avenue on the north side. So these 3 Z-shaped existing buildings will be demolished and removed for the installation of a new park at the corner of Valor Road and Faywood Avenue, a mid-rise building, a lot like this, just not, it'll just be a bar-shaped because that's what we can fit, and then a townhome building, or excuse me, townhouse strip of buildings. So, and the reason we're here and asking for specific repairs and a pedestrian easement are that we want to widen the northern Faywood Avenue sidewalk, which right now is about 5 feet wide, in order to be able to install tree pits, bicycle racks, street lights, so that we can get the same feel that we have along Valor Road. This is basically the exact same treatment we'd be looking at. 3-foot by 8-foot tree pits with mulch and trees, 5-foot clear sidewalk, street lights, and then as we go along, we'll have some street furniture, including bicycle racks. So I got a little deep into the weeds because our first request is for the pedestrian easement. But as I mentioned, the existing northern sidewalk on Faywood Avenue is only about 5 feet wide. In order to provide the 8.5-foot wide sidewalks to get the street trees in, we are proposing to have a pedestrian easement on the private site. Included in that, we're also proposing there's an existing bus stop near the corner of Faywood Avenue and Valor Road. So we're gonna put that bus stop, the actual shelter associated with it, in the concrete pad on the private site. So we also have a little bump out here for the pedestrian easement associated with that. So basically, along the north side of Faywood Avenue, we're asking for about a 3-foot wide strip on both sides of Valor Road within the limits of our property, and then a bump out at this proposed bus stop.
Great, thank you for both the context and description of the ped easement plan. Any questions or comments on the pedestrian easement portion? Todd, Robbie?
We're all set.
Any members of the public?
I see none.
All right, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I make a motion to approve a joint petition by Trinity Orient Heights Phase 3 Limited Partnership in the Boston Housing Authority for the acceptance of pedestrian easements adjacent to Faywood Ave in East Boston, as more particularly read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Moving on to our second item on a joint petition by Trinity Orient Heights Phase 3 Limited Partnership and the Boston Housing Authority for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in East Boston, consisting of curb, roadway, and sidewalk reconstruction, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps, street trees, street lights, bike racks, storm drain infrastructure, and driveway curb cuts. The locations are Faywood Avenue on both sides, generally east and west of Fowler Road, and Fowler Road, generally northwest of Faywood Avenue. This was new business on October 8, 2020, and this is shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repairs Plan, Faywood Avenue, East Boston, 3 sheets dated February 2020.
I thank you, Commission. My name is Deborah Danick. I'm here with Niche Engineering. I'm also represented by the owner with Sienna DeSantis of the ownership team. We also have David Lionheart from our legal team and other members of the design team as part of this call. We're requesting approval for specific repairs to the north side of Faywood Avenue in East Boston. It's part of the Orient Heights redevelopment project in our third phase, working with the Boston Housing Authority to redo both the housing stock and the street improvements within the area. This photo that I'm showing right now is a visual existing of the constructed phase 2 and what we're hoping the north side of Faywood Avenue would look like if you're walking along it westerly. We're proposing City of Boston standard improvements, including 3-foot by 8-foot tree pits with mulch, a 5-foot clear cement concrete pedestrian walkway, street lights, and also some bicycle racks. As we look, so Faywood Avenue existing right now is a 40-foot wide right-of-way. The road itself is one-way traveling west on Faywood Avenue to go up into the Orient Heights rest of the neighborhood. There's existing a 14-foot wide travel lane and 2 7-foot wide parking lanes. Our proposed improvements are to maintain the existing curb at its location, maintain the existing clear sidewalk width, and then we would work to expand the existing 5-foot sidewalk back towards the private site. So in order to get the street trees in with the 3-foot wide tree pits, the 5-foot clear walk, and then the 1/2 foot curb, the full sidewalk width would be 8.5 feet wide, and we would be providing an additional 3 foot wide of the clear cement concrete walk within the private site through the pedestrian easement that was just approved. The other improvements that we're proposing as part of this work and this approval for the Faywood Avenue improvements, we're also going to be, there's an existing MBTA bus stop without a shelter right now at this corner of Valor Road and Faywood Avenue, so we're proposing to provide a shelter. That shelter and pad would be located on the private site within the pedestrian easement. The other thing we're proposing is a mill and overlay of Faywood Avenue, and then we'd also stripe sharrows as part of our coordination with BTD and the bikes program. We're also going to be providing some bicycle racks within the furnishing strip for visitors that visit the neighborhood. Along that, the other update you'll see on these plans, we're coordinating with Boston Street Lighting, so we've added street lights along Faywood Avenue as part of the improvements as well.
Deb, can you touch briefly on the south side piece, the south side of Faywood Ave?
Yeah, so right now, the south side of Faywood Avenue, we're proposing the existing conditions of that, and I can zoom in a little bit. Sorry for those of you that get motion sickness. The existing side of Faywood Avenue is a cement concrete walk and granite curb, and it's about 5 feet wide. There are existing utility poles with overhead wiring. When you're actually on Faywood Avenue, there are existing walls in order to facilitate getting up into the existing townhomes. These are also part of the BHA property and will be renovated as part of the project. When you're walking along this sidewalk, there's a 3 to 4 foot high wall that's at the back of sidewalk just due to the elevation change between the door entry where you go up closer to 6 feet. You know, there's a set of stairs, a walkway, and more stairs to get you into the building. So because of the intent to maintain this as a one-way street, keeping the existing clear path between the two curbs, we're proposing that we maintain the existing curb, repair it at locations as needed, upgrade accessible crosswalks, and redo the existing cement concrete sidewalk in kind along the south side of Faywood Avenue. We're also showing the streetlights, the new streetlights on this side. We're still coordinating with Boston Streetlight for the final design of the streetlight improvements.
Great, thank you for that. Other questions or comments on the specific repair plan?
Yes, there is a catch basin that's going to be relocated due to changing the curb line there at the intersection there at the Valor Road. And there's also a hydrant, which is on the next sheet on Faywood, that's going to be, there it is, has to have a relocation due to the way they're doing the sidewalk there. We do have that as part of a site plan review 20112, and that those things are referenced in the site plan. So we have seen what they're going to do, and we're seeing that we have it where it seems to be acceptable.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. Other questions or comments? We've walked through the Faywood. Do you want to just brief on Valor?
Yeah, so we do have some minor changes to Valor. So Valor was previously approved in our phase 2 work. And as I kind of mentioned, maybe I'll show the aerial quickly. We did approval of the whole roadway at once so that we could establish the right-of-way as well as the road. Phase 3 design actually includes this side of the road. So the final details of the private site have now been done. With that, it facilitates the request that right here through this no parking area, we actually have a dumpster as part of the private site. So we've requested to have a curb cut here in order so that the trash operations can happen off-street. It will not affect a parking space count. The other thing that we have as we work our way further up Fowler Road, and it's probably easier to show here, there's the mid-rise. The proposed mid-rise building is now existing. It's now constructed. We're requesting that there be a curb cut so that we can roll the dumpster from this building to the curb for when the trash truck comes to pick it up. The trash that gets picked up in this area and for this development is privately done, and it's not through the city trash collection process. So those are the two inset. There's an inset here for the Valor Road further up this way, and then we're showing over here the request for the curb cut so that trash operations can happen.
Great, thank you so much for that. Other questions or comments on the Valor Road portion of this? Todd or Avi?
I will mention that legal counsel has noted that the legal agreements for this action and the one previous are still being worked on, so those need to be finalized before any permits are issued. Also, I would point out that the wall that Deb has mentioned on the south side of Faywood Ave appears to encroach within the right-of-way, and I would suggest that the maintenance of that wall be covered in the LMI for this project.
Sense.
Thank you. We will continue coordinating those items.
Other questions or comments? All right, I'll entertain a motion on that side.
I'll make a motion to.
I make a motion to approve a joint petition by Trinity Orient Heights Phase 3 Limited Partnership in the Boston Housing Authority for specific repairs on Faywood Avenue and Valor Road, as more particularly read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's been moved. Thanks, Sienna. Thanks, Deborah.
Thank you all for your extended time this morning.
Of course. Moving on to our third item on a petition by Madison Park Development Corporation doing business as 2451 Washington LLC for the acceptance of a pedestrian easement adjacent to Guild Row, a public way in Roxbury located on its westerly side at the side of 2451 Washington Street between Dudley Street and Washington Street. This was new business on October 8, 2020, and this is shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Pedestrian Easement Plan, Guild Row, 2451 Washington Street, Roxbury, Boston, one sheet dated October 1st, 2020.
Okay, to the chair. Brian Ronan, Chief, just let you know I'm back online.
Perfect, Brian, thanks so much. Do we have Madison here, the petitioner here for this item?
Hi, this is Meg Regan from Central Park.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks. So yes, the pedestrian easement number 3 is essentially an extension of the pedestrian easement for 2451 Washington Street that is already recorded and in place. And there was roughly 8 feet length of sidewalk that wasn't covered in that pedestrian easement. So in an effort to provide a pedestrian easement, and that was a continuation of the 2451 Washington condominium site, we had put forth this request for this pedestrian easement.
Great, thanks. So it's sort of a 4 square foot cleanup of the previous action, more or less.
Yes.
Questions or comments on this item? Todd or Robbie?
Actually, a similar comment to before. The legal agreement needs to be worked out with Chung, so we'll make sure that gets done.
Sure. Thanks, Todd. Is that okay with Madison Park? Or understood by Madison Park?
She's on mute. Oh, I'm on mute. She's on mute.
Sorry, but yes, that's fine.
Great. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Comments by members of the public or questions by members of the public?
I see none.
All right, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Madison Park Development Corp. For the acceptance of a pedestrian easement in Guild Row as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Thank you so much. Moving on to our fourth item on a petition by VNA doing business as 191-195 Bowden LP for the acceptance of a pedestrian easement adjacent to Bowden Street, a public way in Dorchester located at address numbers 191 through 195 at the easterly corner of its intersection with Topwood Street. This was new business on October 8th, 2020. And this is shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Pedestrian Easement, 191 Bowden Street, Topwood Street, Boston, Dorchester, one sheet dated September 24th, 2020. Is the petitioner for this project able to join us?
Hi, Chris. Thank you, Chris. This is Jeffrey Pilar from Samio's Consultants on behalf of 191, 195 Bowden LP. We have the owner and design team with us today. May I share our screen?
Absolutely.
Can you see the screen?
We can, yep.
We are requesting the petition for the easement. We have reconfigured the existing pedestrian ramp at the corner of Topliff and Bowden Street, which will require the pedestrian easement to provide access at the top half of the ramp. The project attorney has been coordinating with Mr. Chong, legal counsel for the LMI, and we can go through the specific repairs on the next item.
All right, thanks so much. Any questions or comments on the pedestrian easement? Todd or Robbie?
Chung just wanted to note that the petitioner is scheduled to actually take ownership of this parcel from D&D at some point in the next month or so, so the easement won't be able to be finalized until then. But I think we should be able to approve the action, and we'll have to write in the book and page numbers on the documents.
Perfect. So thanks for that note. Any members of the public?
I see none.
Okay, all right, we'll entertain a motion on the pedestrian easement.
I make a motion to approve a petition by Viet Aid for the acceptance of a pedestrian easement adjacent to Bowden Street in Dorchester, as more particularly read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Moving on to our fifth item on a petition by Viet Aid doing businesses 191-195 Bowden LP for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in Dorchester, consisting of curb realignment, sidewalk and pedestrian ramp reconstruction, as well as new and relocated street lighting infrastructure, street trees, landscaping, irrigation infrastructure, street furniture, bike racks, and driveway curb cuts. The locations are Bowden Street on its southeasterly side, address number 191-195, generally between Topwood Street and Olney Street, and Topwood Street on its easterly side, south of Bowden Street. This was new business on October 8th, 2020. This is shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repair Plan 191-195 Bowden Street, Topwood Street, Dorchester, 2 sheets dated October 19th, 2020.
Thank you, Chris. Good morning to the commission and public. My name is Jeffrey Piloff from Samuels Consultants, the civil engineer. On behalf of 191-195 Bowden LP, we have the owner and design team with us today. The proposed work will consist of construction of a mixed-use, affordable housing development with a subgrade parking garage and all associated utilities, a parking lot, proposed 4-story, 55,000 gross square foot building will contain residential units on floors 1 through 4, totaling 74 bedrooms. The building will be located at in the area of the vacant lot on the corner of Bowden and Topliff Street. Vehicular access will be provided through the existing driveway at grade. Parking lot located on the east side of the building off of Bowden Street. Proposed curb cut off of Topliff Street to a subgrade parking garage. We're requesting a petition for specific repairs for the proposed work in the right-of-way, which includes replacement of approximately 171 linear feet of concrete sidewalk in Topliff Street. On Bowden Street, the work includes a replacement of approximately 122 linear feet of concrete sidewalk, installation of 2 new trees with ground cover, a bike rack, as well as bench seating. The proposed work also includes construction of a 15-foot wide driveway curb cut and closing of 2 existing curb cuts on Topliff Street, and the widening of existing curb cut on Bowden Street to 24 feet wide. As mentioned on the easement petition, the existing ramp has been reconfigured to align and center more with the crosswalk. The reciprocal ramp on Topliff Street has been found to be ADA compliant. All comments from departments and utilities to date have been addressed.
Thanks so much, Jeffrey. And Kerwin, there's no existing crosswalk across Bowden Street right now. It is simply across Topliff?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Questions or comments on this design? Todd, Robbie?
We're all set.
All right. Members of the public?
I see none.
All right, I'll entertain a motion on this project.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Viet Aid making specific repairs within Bowden Street and Topliff Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Jeffrey, thanks so much.
Thank you, Chris. Now.
Yep. Our sixth item is on a petition by Verizon New England Inc. for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install a new communication conduit with city shadow within the following public ways in Roxbury. Amory Street, generally south of Center Street, Amory Street Connector, east of Amory Street, Center Road at Amory Street. This was new business on October 8th, 2020, and this is shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, grant of location plan 25 Amory Street Connector, Center Street, proposed conduit installation, 1 sheet dated October 22nd, 2020. Welcome back, Ross.
Hi, again, Ross Bilodeau, representing Verizon New England. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here so you can see the plan again.
Perfect.
All right, can you see that?
It's coming up right now. Yep, we can see it.
Okay. Again, we're looking to relocate one manhole and its associated conduit, including a riser up Amory Street connector. About 10 feet from his existing location, there's a current, there's an illegal trespass that was, been around since sometime in the 40s when this conduit was placed. We're just trying to correct that to get it off of a property along Amory Street so that it can be properly developed.
Ross, if I'm not mistaken, and I might be misremembering, but I feel like at the new business hearing, Para or Todd raised just an interest in making sure that we were coordinating this work with some of the city's work around Amory Street Extension and the associated D&D, the development that's happening slightly sort of to the south, but sort of screen right of this rendering. Has that happened since the new business?
Yes, we reached out to everyone else. We reached out with Zach, and we never heard anything back. Whether any changes needed to be made to this plan.
Got it. And I don't know if Par or Todd, you guys are aware of any things to consider? Yep, go ahead, please. Yep.
Chief, Ross, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, let me mute the other one first. Ross, did Mr. Bosman get back to you because he's on vacation this week and he's been burdened absurdly last week? Did he get back to you or he hasn't had a chance to get back to you?
Okay, I never heard anything back from anybody, so.
Okay, so that's a different assessment. So don't want to hold you up, but I think you need to somehow connect with Public Works. We may be rushing things, absolutely recognize the need to help you, Ross, but we want to make sure that the commission doesn't give you some guidance that needs to be just upended later. So, Chief, I'm not sure what's the best way to do this. I'm not sure. Ross, do you have a time crunch to get this thing done on your part?
Well, I know this has been going on for several years, so we're kind of hoping to get this wrapped up so we can move forward. It's obviously going to take some time here for us to place our facilities before anything else can be removed and then further start on a development. I don't have any specific timetable.
If I may add, Ross, keeping in mind that the winter moratorium is going to come in about 3 weeks' time, I doubt you will be in place to do any construction. So,
sure.
And the fact that it has been a few years and I have no desire to extend your drama for years to come, let's wrap this thing up quickly. But I think we may be strategically positioned to do the right thing here, where there's some honest conversation between your team and the Public Works team. That is my proposal, that we take a moment to make sure that you have had a chance to circle back with Mr. Wasmuth in some fashion. Yay, nay, or hey, let's discuss.
Yeah, and Par, just to add some context there is that from Zach's perspective, I think that one of the things that he's grappling with in here is the street lighting. So I think that we're particularly interested in both the conduits from a fiber and electrical connections standpoint, so that maybe even if that's what we're addressing, just so that we're not digging kind of redundant things for kind of similar reasons.
Yeah, Amy, if you can take it from here, I need to sort of peel off to another situation.
Yep. Yep. No, I'm just for more for Ross, but I think that when you approach Zach, it's just that's I think what he's been hearing most about the sidewalks in this stub and potential for the addition of street lighting, and there is some older public works future projects, potential projects, stuff like that that I do think need to be coordinated just to make sure that we're not that we can't maybe do some stuff together.
Yeah.
It sounds like if Ross, it works for you, the interest would be to continue it for 2 weeks, make sure that between Zach, Amy, Para, that we have that coordination conversation in our street lighting division, just to make sure that what you're building doesn't then get torn up by something else that's happening, and we can figure out a way to coordinate designs. Is that Amy, Para, is that fair?
Yeah, especially if, I mean, I didn't necessarily look at the specifics of this, but if this is even involving a light, right, and a pole and an antenna and all that stuff, I think that we can kind of coordinate it all together.
Great.
Rob, is that okay for you to have you come back on November 5th on this item as well?
Sure.
All right, we'll see you on November 5th for this one as well. I'll entertain a motion to continue this item for 2 weeks until November 5th.
I'll make a motion to continue public hearing item number 6 read into the record by the chair.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. We have no items of new business, and which makes, I also think, Todd, correct me if I'm wrong, our only items for the public hearing in 2 weeks, the 2 items from Verizon.
That would be correct.
All wrong.
Yeah, exactly. But with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 So moved. Thank you all.
Thank you.